Welcome to Health 2660. Here we don't just talk about health, we tell the stories that heal. Now please listen to the story. I never imagined I'd be the woman dialing 911 with trembling hands, screaming into the phone that my husband had collapsed in our kitchen. But here I am, telling you this story because I need you to listen. Because someone you love might be ignoring the same signs he did. It started small, almost invisible. My husband Tom was the picture of stability. He wasn't overweight, didn't smoke, and had this stubborn kind of energy that kept him going from dawn till dusk. So when he started coming home, tired, really tired, I didn't worry at first. I'm just getting older. He'd laugh, rubbing his eyes. Long day. But it wasn't the usual kind of tired. It was different. He would sit down after dinner and just stare. He wasn't sleepy. He was drained. Like his body was asking for rest it couldn't get no matter how much he slept. Then came the shortness of breath. At first it was just on the stairs, then walking to the mailbox, then tying his shoes. And he'd brush it off every time. Just out of shape, he'd say. I'll go back to the gym next week. But next week never came. The little things piled up. One night we were watching TV, and I noticed sweat running down his temple. It wasn't hot. He wasn't moving. Are you okay? I asked. Yeah, maybe just anxious. Except he wasn't the anxious type. Then the indigestion started. He'd clutch his stomach and say he felt nauseous. Sometimes he'd get up in the middle of the night, pacing, pressing on his chest. It's just acid, he'd insist. I asked him to see a doctor. He rolled his eyes. I'm fine, but I knew he wasn't. One Saturday morning, he was helping our daughter move into her dorm. He bent down to lift a box and froze. His face went pale. He dropped the box. I ran over to him. My left arm. It hurts. Sit down, I said, panicking. Do you feel pressure in your chest? He nodded, like an elephant. That's when I grabbed the phone. The next 30 minutes were a blur. Paramedics, oxygen, sirens. The ER doctor said we got there just in time. He was having a heart attack. Not just a scare, a real one. One artery was almost completely blocked. They had to insert a stent. I sat in that hospital hallway, replaying everything in my head. The fatigue, the breathlessness, the sweating, the indigestion, the pain in his arm. All signs, all ignored. This didn't happen overnight, the doctor said. His heart's been struggling for a while. The signs were there. They always are. That hit me hard, because I thought he was fine. He thought he was fine. But that's the thing about heart disease. It's silent, subtle. It whispers before it screams. And by the time it screams, it might be too late. After 3 days of monitoring and recovery, Tom was allowed to go home. Tom returned with a quiet determination and many changes. The recovery was slow and humbling. Tom had to relearn how to take care of himself, and I had to learn how to not hover. He changed his diet, cut out the processed food sugar seed oils, started walking every morning, took his meds, slept more, and he talked something he'd never done much before. He told our kids he loved them, held my hand longer. There was a calm in him I hadn't seen in years, a gratitude. And every time he put on his sneakers to go walk, I whispered, "Thank you," under my breath. But this story isn't just about him. It's about you. Yes, you listening right now. Because heart attacks don't always announce themselves with a dramatic clutch of the chest. Sometimes they come quietly. So let me tell you what I wish we had known sooner. Early signs. Weeks or even months before. 1. Unusual fatigue. Not just tired from work, but tired from nothing. Like your body has lost its spark. Especially if you feel exhausted, even after rest. 2. Mild chest pressure or discomfort. Not stabbing pain. more like tightness, heaviness. Some call it a squeezing, or an elephant sitting on the chest. 3. Shortness of breath. Climbing stairs feels harder than usual. You find yourself needing to catch your breath, especially during light activity. Moderate signs, often days before. 4. Sweating at rest. Cold sweat. Out of nowhere. You're not exercising, and yet your shirt is damp. 5. Unexplained weakness. Not general tiredness, but legs that suddenly feel like jelly. Arms that can't lift a grocery bag. 6. Nausea or indigestion. Stomach pain, queasiness, even vomiting, especially when paired with chest discomfort. 7. Dizziness or lightheadedness. Standing up feels like the room is spinning. You feel faint, like something's off. Severe signs, often hours before or during the event. 8. Intense chest pain or pressure. Like being crushed, the classic heart attack symptom, but not always present. 9. Radiating pain. Pain shooting down the left arm into the neck, jaw, back or shoulder. 10. Severe shortness of breath at rest, feeling like you're suffocating even when lying still, often paired with anxiety or panic. But here's the truth. No one tells you. You don't go from healthy to heart attack in one day. This is a process, a slow buildup of stress, inflammation, plaque, and metabolic damage, often over decades. And the biggest driver, insulin resistance. Tom's blood sugar wasn't that bad. His cholesterol numbers were okay. But what we didn't see was the creeping metabolic dysfunction from years of poor sleep, stress, seed oils, hidden sugars, and processed food. That's why his fatigue wasn't just getting older. It was a warning. I'm sharing this not to scare you, but to wake you up. If you or someone you love is experiencing even 2 or 3 of these signs, don't wait. Get checked. Better yet, don't wait for the signs at all. Clean up your diet, walk every day, manage stress, sleep, and listen to your body. 1 year later, Tom is back to walking 2 miles a day. He smiles more, cooks with olive oil instead of canola, says no to things that drain him, says yes to rest. And every time he eats a broccoli floret, he makes a joke. This little tree is saving my heart. I laugh, but deep down, I believe it. Because the real miracle wasn't the stent. It was the decision to stop ignoring the whispers and start listening. You don't have to wait for a siren. You don't need a hospital bed to wake up. Your body speaks. Your heart whispers. Listen before it shouts. Please don't ignore the signs. It might just save your life. The smell of disinfectant still clung to Tom when he came home from the hospital, a sterile scent battling with the familiar aroma of our home-cooked meals. The doctors had been thorough, explaining everything in excruciating detail. Stents, blockages, cholesterol levels, blood pressure. It felt like learning a new language overnight. They'd emphasized the importance of medication, a healthy diet, and regular exercise. But what stuck with me wasn't the medical jargon, but the doctor's grave expression when he said, "We caught it just in time, just in time." The words echoed in my mind, a constant reminder of how close we had come to losing everything. The first few weeks after Tom's heart attack were a whirlwind of adjustments. Our kitchen, once a haven of culinary experiments and family dinners, became a laboratory of healthy eating. Canola oil was banished, replaced by the rich, fruity aroma of olive oil. Sugar became a forbidden word. Processed foods were replaced with fresh vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. Tom, a man who once scoffed at the idea of kale, was now meticulously chopping it for salads. His plate was a vibrant mix of greens, reds, and yellows, a stark contrast to the beige-heavy meals of his past. Exercise became a habit. Every morning, before the sun had fully risen, Tom would lace up his sneakers and head out for a walk. At first, he struggled his breath, coming in ragged gasps after only a few blocks. But, with each passing day, he grew stronger, his pace steadier. I would watch him, from the window a silent observer of his journey back to health. And slowly, gradually, the color returned to his cheeks, the light back to his eyes. Beyond the physical changes, there was a shift in Tom's demeanor. He became more present, more engaged. He started spending more time with the kids, listening to their stories, offering advice. He held my hand, more often his touch lingering, as if he was savoring every moment. He even started talking about his feelings, something he had always struggled with. One evening, as we sat on the porch, watching the sunset, he turned to me, his eyes filled with emotion. "I almost lost everything," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I took so much for granted." He squeezed my hand tightly. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for saving my life." I didn't say anything. I just held him close, listening to the sound of his heartbeat, a steady, reassuring rhythm that filled me with gratitude. The road to recovery wasn't easy. There were days when Tom felt discouraged, when the fatigue and shortness of breath returned, when he longed for the comfort of his old habits. But he persevered, driven by a newfound appreciation for life and a deep love for his family. And as he healed, so did our relationship. We learned to communicate more openly, to appreciate the small moments, to cherish each other's presence. We rediscovered the joy of simple things, a walk in the park, a shared meal, a quiet evening at home. One day, as we were browsing through old photo albums, we came across a picture of Tom from his younger days. He was standing on a beach, his face bronzed by the sun, his body lean and muscular. He looked vibrant, full of life. "I used to be in such great shape," he said, a hint of regret in his voice. I smiled and took his hand. "You're in great shape now," I said. "Just a different kind of shape." He laughed, his eyes twinkling. "You're right," he said. "I'm in the shape of someone who's grateful to be alive." He paused, his gaze softening. "And I owe it all to you. The truth is, we both saved each other. He gave me the strength to fight for his health, and I gave him the love and support he needed to heal. Our journey wasn't over, but we were in it together, stronger and more resilient than ever before. We continued to eat healthy, exercise regularly, and prioritize our well-being. We learned that heart disease is a silent killer, but it's also a preventable one. With awareness, education, and a commitment to healthy living, we can all protect ourselves and our loved ones from this devastating disease. And so, I continue to tell our story, hoping that it will inspire others to take action. Because sometimes the smallest whispers can save a life. The kitchen now smells of garlic herbs and the gentle steam of vegetables, a far cry from the artificial scents that once permeated the air. Tom, despite the ordeal, has become a culinary artist, whipping up heart-healthy dishes with the enthusiasm of a seasoned chef. Our daughter, initially horrified by the events, has become a health convert, interrogating us about every ingredient and scrutinizing our sleep schedules. Even our son, the perpetually nonchalant teenager, has swapped his sugary sodas for sparkling water, a small but significant victory. Our home, once a stage for subtle neglect, has transformed into a sanctuary of well-being, each corner echoing with the lessons learned from Tom's brush with mortality. But perhaps the most profound change lies within Tom himself, the man who once chased deadlines and accolades now finds solace in simple pleasures. A quiet morning walk, the warmth of the sun on his skin, the laughter of his grandchildren. These are the things he treasures most. He's learned to say no to unnecessary commitments, to prioritize rest, and to nurture his emotional well-being. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if we had ignored the signs, if we had dismissed Tom's fatigue as just getting older, if we had brushed off his shortness of breath as just being out of shape. I shudder to think of the consequences, but I also know that we can't dwell on the past. We can only focus on the present and work towards a healthier future, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're living each day to the fullest, appreciating every moment and cherishing each other's presence. We're also paying it forward, sharing our story, and inspiring others to do the same. Because in the end, that's what life is all about: love, connection, and making a positive impact on the world. And so I urge you to listen to your body, to pay attention to the whispers, and to take action before it's too late. Health 2660. Thanks you for listening. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, be kind to yourself.